meeting's going to start. Everybody, the meeting is going to start. First of all, welcome to everybody. Welcome to our new councillor, Councillor Marsh. So good to have you back. The next item is questions, public questions. So the first thing is, do we have any written questions that need answering? No. Okay, can I have questions from the floor, please?
I would like to thank the clerk for putting the decision of the standards panel with the first complaint on the agenda. However, the second complaint, the decision of the panel has not been put on the agenda. Part of that decision will need to be discussed in public, and part of it will need to be discussed in private because it relates to the land transfer. But it is now public knowledge, because it is on Hatfield, that the panel made the following decision, which was that in relation to the complaint, the panel agreed with the conclusion reached by the independent investigating officer that Councillor Artis breached paragraphs 1.2 respect, 2.1 bullying, 3.1 impartiality and 5.1 disrepute of the Code of Conduct. It goes on to state the decision is that his sustained pattern of behaviour undermined the clerk's authority, compromised governance and posed reputational risks to the parish council, and with regard to 1.2 respect, the report was evidenced with incidences of disrespect. With regard to 2.1 bullying, Councillor Artis clearly sought control over the clerk's access to information and therefore their ability to do their job, and in doing so prevented the clerk for carrying out their role as detailed in the Local Government Act 1972, and with regard to 3.1 impartiality, this was breached through Councillor Artis blurring the lines between the role of the councillor and clerk, and with regard to 5.1 disrepute, the report detailed many incidents of Councillor Artis's failure to adhere to standard established procedures. Collectively, these instances indicate that he was seeking to subvert proper processes, bringing the parish council into disrepute. And the panel instructed the monitoring officer to issue a formal censure, instruct the parish clerk to recommend training, recommend that the chair of the parish council remove Councillor Artis from any appointments to committees or subcommittees for 6 months, to place an item on the parish council agenda reporting the decision of the panel at the next meeting of the parish council, which is why I have just read out the decision, because the first complaint does have the decision in full, but the second complaint did not have the decision in full on the agenda, and this is public knowledge because it's from the UDC website. Secondly, with relation to the Dunmow Row entrance, 74% has been paid, so there should be only 24% to be paid because it was a fixed contract, and there's no evidence in agenda items or minutes that it had any variation agreed by the council.
Okay, just on the first point, I don't have anything to say on the second point because that's part of the closed session to discuss the final account of the entrance. On the first point, I have already rejected the findings of the standards panel. I've made a formal complaint about the advice of the monitoring officer. She misled the panel. The chair also made a complaint about the chair for refusing to admit evidence. I've also made a formal complaint about the quality of the investigative report. And if I don't get a satisfactory answer from Hatfield, then the complaints will be referred to the local ombudsman. Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question. Yes. Before I ask, could I please take this opportunity to congratulate the new councillors that have been duly elected to the HBO Parish Council. Now, I'll try to be brief. For the year 25-26, town and parish council tax increase is in the region of 6.78%. For the 26-27 year, I don't need to share. For the 26-27 year, the increase from the town and parish council was 8.67%. I'm now looking at my council tax bill, and I'm looking down here, it's breakdown. Can I get to Hatfield Broad Parish Council? 87%. 87%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I stand corrected, possibly, but I've not known anything like that since perhaps the days of the Spitfire bill. I could be wrong. My question is, am I correct in thinking the reason that our council tax has gone sky high is to help cover the costs of the judicial review that the now Councillor Amber imposed upon the council before she was elected to join? Thank you.
Would anybody like to answer that question? Councillor Amber, would you like to answer that question?
Well, I wasn't involved in the raising of the council tax, and as a member or resident of the village, I'm perfectly entitled to take the council to judicial review where I feel that procedures were not followed. That's something that anybody is entitled to do. It's not a decision I took on my own.
That wasn't my question.
Well, I didn't
My
raise.
question was, why has it gone up so much? And is that the reason?
I can't answer that. I wasn't involved
Well,
in the
there
price.
you go.
That's not down to me. I wasn't involved in that.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't involved in that.
So no one knows why it's gone up at 7%.
I can perhaps give some background information there. The council decided, quite rightly, to defend its quite legal decision to assign the ministry into the contract. The reason for the increase is twofold. First of all, the first defence, which was a paper defence of the initial claim by Councillor Ambler. That cost in excess of £15,000. The decision of that judge was that all grounds were rejected and costs were summarily assessed against Councillor Ambler. Councillor Ambler decided, I don't know why, but she's decided to take it to a renewal hearing, which is a second hearing. That has cost another £15,000, so with £30,000 already cost of defending it, quite futile in my respect anyway. Decision by Councillor Ambler to take the council to court. The remainder of the money, another £50,000, was just in case that the judge decided to allow the whole of the case to go to a judicial review hearing. The council voted for that as a provisional amount on the basis that if it had to go to a judicial review hearing, then that money would need to be spent to defend it. If it doesn't go beyond the renewal hearing, then that money will be refunded to residents via the council tax. From a personal point of view, what really annoys me is that Councillor Ambler expected the council to defend it without engaging solicitors. And
Is this
also,
is this a place for personal points of view?
yeah, I'm answering the question. And the requirement to defend it was a decision by the council. The annoying thing is that Councillor Ambler, also known as Miss Nankara, has pleaded for a cost protection order, which means that all the residents would suffer the cost of adventures, legal adventures.
No.
If
Don't you think the annoying thing is that it got to that stage?
yes, it is. It is very
Well,
much.
if you engaged and maybe followed the poll and maybe not gone down the route of just assigning a lease that has no provisions in it for protection of the village green particularly,
Well,
then
I'll come
you
to that
wouldn't be
because
in this position. So that's what is particularly annoying.
I'll come to that.
In your words.
I'll come to that because, as I said, Councillor Andrew has requested a cost protection order, which means that despite living in a very nice house in Parish or somewhere
Mr. Chairman, you've answered the question. Can we have other questions now?
Parish members have to suffer the cost.
This is our opportunity to ask questions, not for you to be showboating. Can we ask questions?
As much as you like, but those are the facts. Getting back to your point about the assignment. The assignment is exactly the same terms.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you entirely.
I
agree with you entirely. Can I just do one thing at a time?
No.
The assignment of the lease is in exactly the same terms as the previous lease. There's no change in the lease whatsoever. So therefore, the public access is still maintained. It's exactly the same as it was before.
And why was that access way? Why did it cost 10 grand spent by the parish council immediately before the transfer of the lease?
Which 10 grand is that?
The 10 grand that was on the accounts the last time I was here at the
Sorry,
Yeah,
what for?
for that access way.
Which access way?
The access way on take the road.
Because that's a council obligation.
Why?
Because it is a parish council
Oh,
obligation.
okay, I'll take your word for it.
Sorry, the gentleman that asked the question, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Can I?
Clive Durham.
Oh, you sit on the CIC with Keith Artis, yeah.
Irrelevant.
It's more relevant than where somebody lives.
So anyway, I've yet to hear the answer, but I'm guessing it's yes.
No.
Yes.
I understand that council artists offered to go to mediation. Why did the council not? What would the council member offered to go to mediation? Why did the council go down a very expensive route of hiring solicitors, and what would the cost have been if mediation had been?
Would you like to answer that? Because our clerk was in communication with Councillor Andrew and trying to arrange mediation, but I'll leave you to explain.
I mean, essentially our solicitors advised us that the issue was not something that could be solved through mediation. We did ask for clarification on what would be mediated, because clearly the lease we can't mediate to undo that decision. We also couldn't mediate to backtrack on the maintenance contract, so it's a question of what we were mediating. We didn't get any clarity on that. And then we gave the claim went in, we gave solicitors, and they advised us that it would essentially be a waste of more time and money because there was nowhere for it to go if we went down the mediation route. That was the advice that we received. So we did ask for some clarification.
That's because the assignment had already been done.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, but the assignment was railroaded through, whereas actually you could have talked about it beforehand. You could have sorted out a sublease with some conditions in it. That lease has got nothing in it because it's a lease granted to the parish council on trust. So there aren't any tenant covenants in it to speak of. So you just assigned it, whereas you could have done a sublease and put some provisions in a sublease on the part of that sports club to make it more beneficial for the village, but you just railroaded it through.
That's not.
It's an hour on the back.
That's not right. Okay, so I don't know if you've looked at it.
I've looked at all the papers.
Well, if you look at all the
I've read
background
all the
papers,
hundreds of pages.
well, actually, there's 287 pages
Yeah,
of advice, legal advice, and the NALC recommended that we go to an assignment because it was the simplest way. We did consider it.
You talked about a
excuse me, can I
licence.
finish, please?
No,
you want an
talked
answer?
about the
You want
difference
an
between.
answer?
No,
Please?
let me finish.
Can we move on to
talked
somebody else,
about a
please? If you're not prepared to
licence
listen,
and a lease.
if you're not prepared to
That's
listen to the
the
answer,
analogy you made.
please, if you're not prepared to
So
listen
you
to the
went for an
answer,
assignment of a lease.
if you're not prepared to listen to the answer, please
Yeah, well.
refrain. Okay,
Yeah,
anybody
You
else?
stated that the conditions for the public were no different with the assignment to HBOSCC.
OSC. That in fact is not correct because when the parish council had the main lease, the public had control over that land.
Exactly.
Now that it's passed, the assignment is passed over completely to OSCC,
Exactly.
the public no longer have control over that land, how it's used, who uses it. It's
Yeah.
HBOSCC who have complete and utter control over that land.
Exactly.
And who uses
There's
it,
no
how-
accountability.
You're wrong.
No.
You're wrong.
I'm not
Exactly.
You
I'm
are.
not wrong.
The reason is because the obligations to the lessee are included in the lease. It is public land, it is public accessible land, nothing has changed.
HBOSCC control that land.
Yes.
Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Nothing has
It's
changed.
been assigned to another body.
So nothing
Of course,
has
a
changed.
lot has changed.
Well, that might be your opinion, but that's
Well,
not
it is
a fact.
my opinion.
Well, good, thank you very
Yeah.
much. Next,
The 87% increase on what the parish council are asking for from
Yes.
villagers is a huge jump in amount.
it is.
Is there not a way that the parish council can budget better so that that jump is not so high? Is it not that they should have some sort of pool of money that can be used for whatever it might be that comes up, or those things that 87 seems a lot for the village to have to pay out? We all expect there will be increases, things happen, you know, and everything else has increased, but 87% is a huge amount.
It
That's
is.
something like
The 87% is purely and simply because of the judicial review.
The whole 87%.
Does
That's
parish
not-
council not got any, like,
No.
solicitor support from anywhere else? Is
No.
there not a parish solicitor you can use,
No.
or is that not something that
No,
should be done?
there's not. There's not. We had reserves of £15,000, but that has all been spent because Councillor Amber decided to take the judicial review decision to a renewal hearing. That's cost another £15,000. Therefore, we are £30,000 in the hole just defending this decision.
We actually had much greater reserves.
Yes,
But
yes,
in the last financial year, the parish council decided to spend over £77,000 on the village green before giving it away.
No, that's not
It,
true.
but when is it?
That's not true.
It's in the budget, it's in the financial accounts.
It's not. I'm sorry. You know, if you're going to make statements, you need to have it.
So where are the
Anybody else?
Where are the reserves?
They're gone.
Stay on.
The judicial review.
No, or the entrance, not the judicial. They were spent before the judicial review. I remember it well.
With the greatest respect, the money for the entrance is included in the original budget. So, one more and then we must move on.
Chairman, I have to say that one of the problems stems from 2 or 3 years ago when the council, as it was then, managed to deplete the funds to such a small figure that you now have no reserves. And although there was advice given from the council, I believe yourself, that as long as you got a certain amount, it was allowed. For small councils, it isn't, and we're a small council, and you should have had and made sure that you've got at least 6 months reserve, and you didn't. You confined it to 3, I believe, and that's one of the reasons that you've now got no money now. Not because of what you've already spent, but
Can I just
because
ask
you
you,
didn't
how
have it in the
were
first
the
place.
reserves depleted?
Pardon?
You said the reserves were depleted. How were the reserves depleted?
Well, you should know that. You've got all the
No,
figures.
you've made a statement. I'm asking you to justify it.
No, I'm
Okay,
asking.
fair enough.
I'm a member of
Anybody
the
else?
party
Because we're now going to move on. Thank you very much for your questions. Apologies for absence. Do we have apologies for absence? Okay, do we accept those apologies? Yes? Yeah? Okay, those apologies are accepted. Declarations of interest. Anybody got any declarations of interest? Okay. Anybody else?
I don't know if we're still conflicted, are we, Amy, with the JL?
No, I think we're not.
So we're not, so I haven't.
Okay, no.
Well, in case anyone didn't hear, I've launched a judicial review against the council, so, you know, in case anyone missed it. Nate, in the last minutes, you put that as a non-registrable offence. Is that correct? Because I don't, okay, thank you.
Okay, the next item is noting, I think, the decision of the standards hearing about my comment that whoever complained about the village green entrance being used for the 10k race should rot in hell. I was found to have disrespected members of the public, and I've got to attend training apparently. Well, I did mean it, and I'm quite happy to say that that person should rot in hell,
Absolutely
and that just following the advice of or the previous actions of former councillor Tracy Marsh, I will ignore the result. So next. Oh, you should apparently you've got to consider me having training.
So this is training connected to the standards hearing, and then this one's like the general one. This one's about particularly how the role of the car.
Okay, well I think we'll all agree we all need training. Fair enough.
So we're voting on 1 and 2, is that right?
So this is the second part of the standards hearing one. So we need to consider. So the recommendation was that I recommend that the council discuss training regarding the role of the clerk, because that's what the complaint was.
Sorry, Amy, it's really difficult. You've got your mouth in front of you and we cannot hear.
So I was saying the recommendation on the standards hearing was that I recommend the council artist does training about the role of the parish clerk, because that's what the complaint was about. So it's for councillors to now decide, or to consider, whether we think that is a good use of parish council funds.
I think I'm quite happy to accept the recommendation.
I'll get the price, I'll find out how much it is.
Okay. The minutes of the previous meeting.
Can we please, I'd like to move under 10.6 that will change the order of business. I'd like to bring item 26 to 11 and item 26 to 23 to be reviewed now in line with the other standards here, so we deal with all this business in one go. Somebody said in that message.
What was the other one? Yeah, okay.
Does that need to be heard? I mean, can we not vote that it doesn't get heard?
Those who have received additional confidential information, I haven't. So the only information we do have is what's already in the public domain. So we can use them. So I think the reasons for it being confidential are
Good.
Yeah, now you need a vote because it's not my decision, so you need a vote to change the order.
I'll just propose it.
Okay. Okay, vote please. Okay, the order is changed. So after, would you mind if we do the minutes first and then put that item at the top?
I'm happy with that. We'll do the minutes and then we deal with that.
Okay, that's fine by me. We have 2 minutes to agree. There's the 11th of February, and I wasn't present at that meeting, so I'll leave it to you guys to decide whether you agree with those minutes or not.
I have a minor thing. We've got it in there. Could you turn to item 26 to 10? Highways and Bridges. The 11th, yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's like passages, there's
Oh yeah.
and also, I thought that was the one that we were looking to quotes to be posted.
I think
Was that included?
he said because the
So I've got two queries with regards to the minutes. The first one is 2621, which was the chairman's welcome, in which the chairman gave an apology, but rather than apologising for the words that he had written and sent to the clerk, he gave an apology for the clerk mistakenly releasing the wording, which effectively places the blame onto the clerk and means that the chair took absolutely no accountability whatsoever for the words that he had sent to the clerk, and that therefore I think that's completely inappropriate, and I strongly object to that. And then the only other issue I have is whereby I reminded Councillor Artis about an email that had been sent to him from the previous clerk in September 24, where she said that he may be personally liable for any legal costs if there was a challenge to the legal.
That's not in these minutes.
Yes, it is.
We're doing the 11th of February. If you'd like to raise that point again under the next minutes, that's fine.
That's on the next minute.
It's on the 26 to 31 on the other.
It's on the oh, it's either, oh, this is, okay, fine. I'll raise it on the next one.
So, I mean, the thing with the chair's statement is that I do think it represents what he said, even if you disagree with what he said, if you see what I mean. It's a difficult one because the minutes should be.
Well, I just think it's a completely inappropriate way for, for a chairman to put the blame onto the clerk for something that he sent that he shouldn't have sent, that was completely inappropriate. So how that is dealt with, but I would like that recognised. I think it was a disgraceful wording and a disgraceful non-apology.
I mean, the easiest thing would just be to take it out completely, because I can't say that he didn't say it. I mean, or I can, yeah. I mean, I say from my perspective, it just needs to actually accurately reflect what was said. So
I don't think it does 100% accurately reflect what was said, and I think that if the chairman's going to make an apology, and this isn't a criticism of you, Amy, obviously, but if the chairman's going to make an apology, he needs to make a proper one. So maybe you can make another apology at the next meeting to both of us.
I say the easiest option would be just to remove that section.
But I don't think it should be removed, because at the end of the day, the chairman was meant to apologise for the disgraceful wording that he had put out. So I think to leave it out would be wrong.
My recommendation then would be to leave that as it is, but then addressing obviously the minuting this conversation, and as you say, he could potentially address it in the next.
Okay.
Welcome.
Right. Thank you.
That's just a typo then.
So do we have a proposer and a second for these minutes? Votes please. Those in favour?
We weren't part of this.
So we've got 3 and then
Okay, so that's one done. Next ones are the 25th of February.
I've already mentioned this to Amy. I recognise that the minutes are not meant to be verbatim. However, I read out a 6.5-line statement and gave the actual wording to Amy, and it has been changed, and I am not happy that that has been changed.
I haven't seen what you've sent, but from memory, you made a statement suggesting that it was a decision of the council.
No, I said no decision will be taken
No, it's not.
It's up to the clerk.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I feel like I've paraphrased quite well what you said. Some of the way it was framed wouldn't be appropriate because you said things like the council notes and things like that, which sounds more like it's an agenda item that has been fully considered rather than a statement. I was careful to try and include all of the things that you said, so I do think it is representative of what you said. I don't know if I have missed anything. So I could change that. It's just
reflect
the
as it
framing.
was to be released or spoken about it before I saw
Sorry,
it
and
on
I appreciate it was I was a bit late for minutes this month, so I don't have time. But yes, no, I mean, I say from my perspective, I think it covers everything that you said. It is paraphrased, but yeah, I'm happy that represents your statement.
On the clerk's advice, do we have a proposal and a seconder for that?
Well, no, I'd just like to go through the item that so item 26.331, the reason I raised the email sent by the former clerk regarding Councillor Arthurs was because I stated that I felt that on the basis that he'd been told that he may be liable for legal fees based on the interference with the solicitors, that I felt that he had a registrable or an interest that hadn't been declared in the judicial review. And you've kept in there that that you felt that Councillor Wilson and Fisher are conflicted on the judicial review, but it was left out the fact that I felt that Councillor Arthurs was conflicted on the judicial review.
How can I do?
That's just an opinion.
Well, yes, it'd be raised an email sent by the Form Club 2024. She stated this was due to what you just said, and I'll check with you the word.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Of course, I declare as and when necessary, and I don't have any prejudicial or financial interest. The opinion expressed by the former clerk in the email was indeed just her opinion, and has no legal basis whatsoever. So apart from that, I would like that added in as well.
Yeah, so that's just agreeing on the basis of agreeing the word confidence.
Yeah, and me. Anybody? So that's it as far as I'm concerned. Anybody else got any issues with those minutes? So proposal and seconder. Yeah, one. Where? Votes, please. Yeah, agreed. Okay. Okay, now. So now we move to the items which have been brought forward. There's a vote of no confidence in me, surprise, surprise. And there's also the 26.2.23, which is to resolve that I be removed from all committees and representing the council. Who wants to lead? It's proposed by Councillor Wilson. Yeah, would you like to lead on?
Doesn't need a huge amount of explanation, given the ruling from the Standards Committee is very, very clear on what sanctions need to be put in place.
Okay.
I think overall, it just means that we as the council are saying we have no confidence in you representing the village for the best interest.
Fine. Anybody else?
Happy to propose it.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that.
Okay, votes please. I don't think the sound that. You don't care. Okay, there's that one. The next one is the 26.2.23, which is to resolve that myself be removed from immediate effect from committees. I think Councillor Wilson has proposed that. I'd like to second that actually, because I really don't want to represent this dysfunctional council. So, I do second that because I don't wish to represent this council. So,
step down then. If you don't want to represent this council, step down and resign. We don't want you. Off you go.
Thank you very much for that. Anybody else? Anybody else got anything to say? Can we have a vote on that, please?
Sorry,
No, all I want to say is that I think your behaviour this evening is absolutely
Thank you very much.
disgraceful.
Can we have a vote on that, please?
So this is on which part of the list?
So this is the panel 2 that's in the confidential
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. So this is to implement all the recommendations. That's form retention, dignity removal for 6 months for training. So if we remove Councillor Afters from the Judicial Review Committee, the Planning and IT Working Groups Committees and any other representative positions, we then would need to fill those positions to prevent them from becoming incorporate.
Yeah, we can do that later on.
Pardon?
So on the next agenda, we'll put in each of them to be.
I'd like to make an amendment then that is done tonight.
We can't add a whole new resolution.
I'm amending it.
The resolution is to remove them from committees, it's not to.
But if you're removing them from committees, you're leaving the committees in forest, so then my motion is to amend that to restate those, or to
There must be a way of doing this. You can't vote to make our committees incorporate.
Well, what committees are going to go in quorum?
Judicial review.
Judicial Review, Planning and IT.
Then planning will be incorporate.
Why?
There's 5 or 6 people on.
I don't know, it's not on, I can't remember, it's not on the website.
No, I haven't updated it yet, but it's on the minutes, beyond minutes of the agenda, but I remember checking, it's only the judicial review.
And the IT will go out.
Yes, we'll have that maybe.
But Councillor Arms has just said he doesn't want to be.
I don't want to represent this council.
Why are we talking? 6 months' time, he's out. He doesn't want to be part of the council. Why are we talking?
Why don't you step down like
So can we vote then?
If you don't want to be part of it.
I don't want to represent this council.
No,
So I'm quite happy to
so why
second
are we
vote.
signing
Are you okay? What's being said here?
It's too big.
Can we introduce people now? You don't think
It's too
so?
big an amendment to what the motion is, because I couldn't put on to also add someone in, because that would predetermine the result of this motion. If you see what I mean, we have to assume.
Is there another motion that we can put it on anyway? Because it's daft if we're going to leave it a month.
Well, but I'm not aware that there are any. There's not going to be any decisions needed.
With respect, this motion was put on here before we had this from Uttersford. And that Councillor Arthurs be removed with immediate effect from all committees, subcommittees, working groups and representative commissions to which has been appointed by the council. Okay? I am proposing that we add to that and to fill any vacancies on any committees that become incorporate. That is all. Because we didn't know for sure what was going to be in this when this agenda came out on Friday night. So I am asking and I'm requesting that amendment goes through, and someone second.
I'm someone second. That seems perfectly reasonable to me.
It feels like a whole new.
Well, if it's been amended, then it's got to be voted on.
But that's, I'm not saying my opinion is that it feels like a whole motion.
Well, I think we should vote on that
You can vote it through.
and fill along. And let's worry about the consequences later.
Okay, so
Okay, you propose.
I'll second.
So can we vote?
Yeah, sure. Only if the clerk is happy.
It doesn't have to sit, it doesn't have to.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay. So it was proposed by Councillor Wilson. I've seconded the motion. I'm quite happy to second the.
You're proposing the amendment.
So the amendment has been proposed by me, seconded by Vanessa, and 6 of us have voted on that. If you'd like to probably vote about, please. And then we
If
move
it's
back to
everybody, I don't think it's a problem.
Councillor Artis has got an
And,
interest, he can't second.
and
And I've seconded the main
No.
substantial motion. Well, I
I
have.
mean, he can.
I can.
It's against the code. It's against the code of conduct, but he can.
That's
I've
not
noted
how it's just.
in view of the circumstances, I would like Councillor Artis to reconsider seconding the motion.
No, I have seconded the motion, so I'm quite happy to take a vote on it. So I'm assuming everybody is quite happy for me to not represent the council. All those in favour?
hang on.
So this is, so we're going back to the substantive, now, we're voting now on it as a substantive motion, resolve what it says, plus the amendment.
Plus the
So
amendment.
Kerry, you're proposing, I'm
I
assuming,
propose the whole thing.
and then
And to second it.
Yeah, and I second. Well, I seconded.
you seconded the original.
The original motion.
You seconded the original, which is now amended.
Okay.
Seconded the whole lot.
Okay, then now we need to vote on that.
So that's all.
So the amendment was proposed by Stedman and Wilson. That becomes the substantive motion, and the substantive motion was proposed by Wilson and it's seconded by me.
Councillor Ambler should be amended.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, it's.
So everybody, let's get it. Everybody votes on that, please.
It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. All right.
So
now we can move back.
Is the judicial review. So we need another person to go on to the judicial review because we can't be Nessa.
No,
Let's have a review or?
We don't all rush for it.
Don't rush for it.
I mean, I'll
Well,
go
twist
on
it
if you really need somebody to make a statement.
Yeah, I mean, because I've been against it, as you know. But our council position is.
Well, that is the judicial review. Well, this is not about this. It's purely to form the committee to form the.
Are you volunteering?
Yeah, I'll volunteer. It's probably wise to have 4 if 3 is a quorum. Just to be honest.
Yeah. So we're proposing that Chris Webb and Anna Fisher join the Judicial Review Committee. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Second it?
I'm sorry, who's
Oh, I
proposing?
proposed it. I proposed it.
Obviously, I can't vote.
Yeah.
What are the committees are?
Planning and IT.
Planning, IT, I'm not sure they haven't met for so long.
Oh, I don't know, I think we should be.
I'm happy to go on IT, I
Yeah.
think we should be.
Who's on the IT at the moment? It doesn't matter, just whoever.
I believe it's yourself, Councillor Stratton, Councillor Hunt, I think.
Well, obviously I'm not on it anymore, so it's up to, if 2 people want to go join it, then by all means do so. It's Microsoft, I hate Microsoft.
Can I propose it? If I put my name forward, I propose it. Second it?
Okay, are we all clear on committees now?
All those in favour?
Are you can vote.
Oh, sorry, I'll vote, yeah. I didn't know what now.
The committee, you're right.
Can we talk about the planning?
Councillor, I just wasn't on the HR.
Can we talk about the planning working group? Because obviously Councillor Arsis is was the chair.
Yeah, so they'll have to find a new chair in the first meeting.
Might I suggest, seeing as I'm chairing the neighbourhood plan, I do the same there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
second that.
It's just, we can't just add motions from nowhere, this is the.
The working
You
group
can,
can
the
make
work-
them, can
yeah,
decide
working
what to say.
working group.
You can decide your own.
Yeah.
Working group.
Yeah, so
I have a couple of things to say to companies. My feelings are that in light of the decision notice that you received today, that the HR committee failed in its duty of care towards the former clerk, and as such, 2 members that are still on that committee, I believe, should be removed.
And who's on that committee that should come off?
Well, the 2 members that were on that committee are Councillor Strutt and Councillor Hunt. And that would leave yourself, Councillor Wilson, and you, Councillor Webb.
I mean, I wasn't actually anyway.
You went back in at the last meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy to say that.
Again, we're just introducing motions that weren't on the agenda.
No, they weren't on the agenda because you didn't know what was in this.
No, I know, but that doesn't matter.
I'm quite happy if they want to change the composition of the HR committee on that.
That's my proposition.
Okay, I've seconded that, yeah.
Votes please. Okay, we've got 2 extra members of the, 2 replacement members, I think is what they're saying, yeah?
No, we had at the last meeting.
So we've now got 3.
5.
Okay.
So there's still 4.
Good. Okay, are we done on committees?
Done on committees. One last thing that I would, 2 things that I would like to raise is, again, relating to governance. Councillor Artis is an authorised signatory on the bank account, and in view of the reports and to show that we are serious about governance, I would propose that he is removed.
Again, we can't have agenda items. Just to say on that though, being an authorised signature on your bank account, there's no authority there. It's a check on me that I've put the amounts in correctly. There's no financial power. So if anything, I'd love that everyone was on it, because then when I send an email around saying, can you please approve these payments, it happens. Historically, I've had to chase quite a lot, so it would be counterproductive to take anyone off when he has no delegated financial powers anyway. Anything that I put on banking has to have already been approved either by the council or through the financial regs through my powers or council stress powers. So it doesn't. Yes.
How does it sit with financial regulations?
How do you mean? I mean, it's not
Parish Council's financial regs.
Yeah, I mean, he's not all. Whoever approves on banking is just an administrative check. It's a backstop to make sure that I'm not putting through, £10,000 for myself. It's
No.
just.
When you put those on, you actually send it to the people you want to underwrite.
It just goes on to the bank account, and then anyone who's got access can go on and approve them. So
I have to say, I'm with Kerry on this one, so I'm happy to second what Kerry said.
it's
So
just
after,
not a valid motion.
well, in terms of, but if we're saying, that in terms of the recommendations that Councillor Artis should be removed from representing the council, then signing the cheques is representing the council. So I think
He doesn't have a valid motion.
well, it's part
Is there any, I think we'll have to put that on after that. Can we, what else have we got? Anything else there?
You asked me to withdraw this because
I'm saying we're not voting on that. Have we got anything else you want to add?
I would like this investigated.
Yeah. I'm
Against
quite happy.
our financial regulations.
Yeah, quite happy with that. Let's investigate it.
It's been proposed and seconded. It should be voted.
Right, reports.
Tessa's right, it has been proposed and seconded. I haven't said I withdraw it.
It's not a valid motion, though.
You're saying it's an invalid motion,
Yeah.
are you?
Yeah.
We're quite happy to investigate.
All items, other than the ones that are listed in the standing orders, need to be on the agenda that's sent out with the correct notice, and we can't just add business on the night.
Can you note that I've raised that?
Yeah, I'll
And we agree to investigate.
yeah, I'll definitely.
That's no
check
problem.
it out. That's fine.
No problem with that at all.
The one remaining thing I would like the clerk to do is to advise the solicitors for judicial review, obviously, of the challenge in our committee.
Oh yeah, well.
And that obviously instructions need to come through you from the committee going forward.
Which they always have.
And I think there should be no instruction taken from councillor Artisan.
There never has been.
That's not what the
Okay, let's
investigation
move on.
proved.
With reports from district, do we have any district or county councillors here? Okay, what have you got to say for yourselves?
First of all, not a lot's happened in the last month, but we had some interesting bits coming forward. First thing is next Thursday, Wednesday, 25th, we are trying to vote for the local plan. If accepted at full council, then that will take around about 2 weeks for the legal stuff, when basically means that we will be protected from speculative developers. Secondly, CIL is now out for independent inspection. There is a consultation on there till I think it's the 10th of April. You're all invited to go onto the website and get the details and then say what you need to say about CIL. Community infrastructure levy, and basically it's going to make developers pay for things like new roads, new schools, and anything else to do with infrastructure. And lastly, you have county elections in May, 7th of May, and anybody in the room that has a postal vote needs to check it's still in date, because the law has changed and they now only last for 3 years. So therefore, if yours is over 3 years old, as of the 31st of January, then it's now invalid and you need to reapply for a new one. Again, you can go on the government website or you can go on UBC website, and that will give you the details on how to do it. That's my report.
Thank you. You said there were 2 of you there. Yes.
I'm the second one. My name is Neil Reed. I think two points to make. One is you'll be aware that in the Middle East things are not going very well, and the government has announced that it's going to be providing help for those unduly impacted by oil for heating. And so there's information about that now on the council website, that an arrangement, and I really don't know the details yet because it's all very new, but those people that won't be able to pay their oil bills will be ways of being helped. That was the first point. Second point, not so much as a report, but just following the discussion now, it's the vice chair of this parish council has actually himself voted to relinquish his representational duties on behalf of the parish council. Is that not also his position as vice chair of the council and chairing this meeting?
Not that it's any of your business, but I'm sure that will be changed in May anyway. So don't.
Well, I was thinking since it's been voted on, it's from immediate effect.
Well, it's not for you to make that decision.
I appreciate
you are here
it's
just
not
to
for me to make that decision. I'm observing in my capacity as ward councillor.
Well, thank you very much, but you're just here to report. So have you finished your report?
I have.
Thank you very much. Reports of councillors and meetings attended. Anybody? Have we got any? Yes.
I've got one. There was a team meeting last Tuesday that Vanessa and I attended, including Laura Atkinson of the RCCE and Emily Mulvaney of English Rural, Kim Rickards of, who you saw earlier, of Durham, and Peter Locke of Uttlesford on their housing department. It was basically to discuss how we're going to proceed, certainly with the local lettings plan and involvement with the CIC. I will do a report on it. It's not on the agenda at the moment, obviously, because there's too much going on tonight. But there will be at the next meeting, I'm sure. This will all go on the agenda.
Okay.
So it's just to let you know there was some views shared there.
Thank you very much for that. Anybody else? Other meetings? Okay, next one is average speed checks. To consider a presentation received from Speed Watch Group.
Councillor Strutt said about deferring because he isn't able to present tonight, so we need to come.
Okay, there were some background papers in the...
Yes, we've got the presentation.
Okay, it didn't produce any results or anything. Okay, so let's do that. Everybody happy for that to be fair?
Yeah, and we haven't even had a highways committee meeting yet either, so.
Okay. Bush End Ward. Councillor, your floor.
Yes, the defibrillator is our biggest effort at the moment. And somehow I've got to get a ducting through the churchyard. I'm dealing with David Robson about this. We've got a plan of action, so we're getting it.
Okay.
That's it for Bush End.
Okay. Village Ward, asbestos survey, I think is for inspection of the Scout Hut. I believe you do. No, you're not.
No. So I requested, basically the Scouts are supposed to do an annual asbestos survey. We're aware there are issues with asbestos in the Scout Hut. I've requested it, I've not had any reply. They haven't done it, and they haven't done it for, I don't think they ever have, actually. I don't think there's any inspections on record. So the other thing is, we own the land. We do not own the hut itself, but if there was an asbestos related issue, then
you have a duty to do it.
Yeah, especially because we are aware that there's a problem. So it's kind of, what would you like me to do? I could offer, basically say, well, we'll organise it and then bill you to have the inspection. Because it is their responsibility to do it. So I just need to steer on kind of how firm you want me to go, really.
We have a duty to we should do.
I've emailed the 2 or 3 email addresses we had on record for the Scouts. So it might be, if anyone's got any more personal connections, if we could maybe pull on them first.
And there's been a couple of things on the Scout. I think we've got, my view is we've got a duty of care, so we should be saying it needs to be done.
Yeah.
But I think the second thing is there's been a number of inquiries from, say, Blossom Barnes around the Scout Hut and how they could collaborate. We seem to, at the moment, be struggling to get the right people together to have that conversation. Can we get it tabulated or something for a discussion?
We can certainly try. So if we try and convene a meeting, at least with the Scout Hut,
probably with
people, and
just
then
because
with whoever else.
it's all going to come down in the grand scheme of things is money and what it looks like.
Does anyone know the people that run
Yeah, I
the
know a
Scouts?
couple of them, and I was going to contact them because obviously we met at the rec,
Yes.
and I was going to contact them about maybe seeing if they wanted to help out and sort of tidying up the rec. So I'll put a call in to tomorrow, and then I'll give you a call in.
That'd be great. So I think, it's a shame to go in harsh straight away.
Is that for the Scouts? The Scouts?
Yeah.
If you could let me know, because I've got the ladies' contact details last week, I sent them some dollars, and it's going to be together.
Okay.
Is the building in occupation now?
Yeah.
And there's never been an asbestos survey?
No,
Never
I
registered?
can't find any record.
Alan, I think there has been, because ARG Group, owned by Chris Blair, did some work on it and did the inspection. They're asbestos specialists.
Well, there should be a register.
Yeah, so I think there's been something in the past, and I'd be very surprised if it's never had anything on asbestos.
It certainly hasn't in the last few years, so it's definitely overdue. But I'll see if I can find that.
Okay, recreation ground. I believe that's Councillor Andrews.
Yeah, so I met with Amy at the recreation ground a couple of weeks ago, and there was some minor damage to some of the plastic on the corners of the table, and then I went back on Saturday with Alan Fisher, kindly met me down there, and I was more concerned about the issues in the ditch. So there was a sheet of what may be asbestos, which Alan kindly sent off for, took a little sample, because that's his expertise, and sent off for sampling. I think what I'd like to do is to, again, sort of get some clarification on where we stand with the ditch, because I'm more concerned that there's more hazards in the ditch than there are in the recreation ground itself. There's jagged metal, there's barbed wire, so maybe if we could chat tomorrow, Amy, about where we stand with that and what we need to do, because there's certainly far more hazards in the ditch than there are on the road.
Yeah, and I'll check the plans as well as to where boundary is the responsible.
Yeah.
Was any of this in the reports that Councillor Reid or
I don't think it was. It was mainly inspecting the equipment in itself rather than the sort of ground as a whole. I can check with him if there was anything historically.
Can we also look as a group to maybe get together, because a number of residents, especially in the school, have all said the same. So as good as it could be, does it really address what we need to do?
It looks unloved at the moment, and obviously it's like, you know, just coming into spring after winter, and that's why. So I was trying to contact the scouts to see if there was a, you know, some sort of badge that they might want to work towards in terms of. But also I was going to put it out to the village as well, potentially, in terms of, you know, it just looks unkempt, it looks unloved. There's not much litter or anything, but the bushes all need trimming, the grass needs cutting. You know, it just needs it needs a bit of TLC, and but the ditch is a hazard.
But in the previous council, I know that with Tessa was looking at other equipment and potential grants, and how we could maybe update it. Is it worth us having?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I'm more than happy to look at that and take that on. So I'm happy to take on the rec.
We might be able to engage. I'm looking. We might be able to engage some others to work with us and see what we can achieve.
Okay. And that's just individual actions.
The next one was with me, so I need to get in quotes to get the asbestos sheets removed, but I'll pause while you're waiting for test results.
I should get that back any time now.
Might as well, just in case it isn't. I mean,
It's 99% sure it will be asbestos, but at least then you know.
Yeah, and my understanding was it's not been dumped there, it was being used to reinforce the sides.
It looks particularly dull to me, to be perfectly honest, but you know, we can all have our own views on that.
If I may, Jill, if you contact Hatfield Waste, they can arrange for asbestos disposal. If they class it as vital, they pay for it.
Okay, oh, cool.
So if we get it out and just throw it down the entrance.
You say that.
At your risk. Okay, and the last one is the point of council responsible for the recreation ground. I thought, I wasn't at the meeting, but I thought they were already done.
No, we did it just for the next meetings. At that point, we were down 3 councillors.
Right, okay. So do you want to continue that?
Yeah, I'm happy to continue that.
Everybody happy with that? Yeah. Okay, agreed. Grants. To agree grant application for the Flower Festival of £1,000.
Before you start, I'm going to leave the room for this, because obviously it's due to the church, but can I just ask you to double check the figures for the grants, because in the budget it indicates there's £1,400 left, but I thought it was 1,050.
So I've broken out the CIC grant.
No, I think it's the difference is 250 for citizens advice and 100 for advisors.
Yes, you made it right.
So that may have bearing on how you vote or choose to split. So having said that,
okay, the first point then is to agree an application for the Flower Festival of £1,000. Well, actually, we could do them both together. And we can agree grant application for the Parish magazine of £600. I think it's very important that we maintain support for the Parish magazine to keep it going. So I would propose that we agree both of those grants.
Absolutely, I'll definitely second that.
I totally agree with the application for the Parish magazine, but in terms of the grant application for the Flower Festival, I wonder if that breaches our grant terms, because at the end of the day the Flower Festival is a profit-making event, and essentially we're giving £1,000 to the church, and therefore I can't support that grant application.
Okay, we have I propose that you've got a seconder. Can we have a vote on that, please? Yeah.
Sorry, one question.
We haven't got money in the grant pot anyway.
£1,600 in the budget. How will we do something?
Well, we can, there's other money in other budgets that hasn't
Okay, so you can move it around.
Yeah.
So we've got the one.
You have that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, that's agreed. Opposed, seconded, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And they're still abstain, or are you going against?
I think you made that 4, wasn't it? I don't think.
I will go, I'm voting for the Parish magazine and against the Flower Festival.
Alright. Consider any grant applications received between the agenda.
Doesn't Councillor Stegman have to come back in first?
Yes, someone go grab.
The Parish Council information sheet to discuss whether the council should publish an information sheet to parishes. This was raised last time because there was concern about the cost of the judicial review, and the principle before the council was that that information should be explained to councillors, to the public, but it's entirely up to the new council what they want to do.
And what's wrong with that going in the Parish magazine?
Yeah, thank you.
I think when it, to be fair, I think when it was discussed, there was likely not to be a parish council magazine. So,
but that's back on track.
That's back on track. Yeah.
Should go. I think.
Yeah.
I think a scheme of full transparency is exactly what we should do.
Okay. So we agree then it should go in the.
Well, are we going to? But the content of that.
We need to draft.
It's kind of subjective, but it needs to be.
No, it can't be subjective. It's got to be completely objective. It's got to be facts. That's all we can. That's all we can publish.
I'll need to speak to them because we normally only get like a little bit.
You get as much as you
Yeah, so if we do a more formal submission, obviously we'll draft it.
Who wants to? I mean, I'm happy to. Can we draft something that we can share with everyone and get something? I'm not going to put that on me.
I think, to be fair, it should come from the clerk.
Yes, I think officially it has to be
publish
me.
it.
Officially it has to be me because I've got the authority to say something to the council. But what we can do is we can sort of draft as a group, and then it just sort of goes through me. If you sort of
No, sorry, I wasn't saying I'll do it. We're saying is can we draft something to give to you because you've got a lot of
Suggestions, I think.
Yeah, sure. Then we can, if you all send in what you think you want in there, then we can.
Otherwise, this bounces for a month.
Yeah, then I can put it together.
Can I add something? The Parish magazine has a new editor, and the hope is it will be the May edition will be the first of the new cycle until the end of this year. So whatever goes in there will have to be submitted by the 15th of April.
Who's the new editor?
Julia, she lives just outside the village, so I can share the details. It's the same email address as previously, but her name's Julia. I believe it's the same email address.
Yes, I think I'll
Is she proposing? Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say it's like the work timing wise to bring that to the April meeting to confirm.
I was going to say, do you know if she's proposing to keep it exactly the same?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know Hatfield Heath are a lot bigger than us, but we get theirs, and it's such a much slicker magazine. Now, I don't doubt the cost.
I'm sure if you email her, she's will be delighted to have some ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically she's stepping into Janet's shoes, and she's going to develop the magazine.
Okay. Well, we wait to see. The principle's been agreed that suggestions will be submitted to the clerk, and the clerk will produce a village magazine article for approval at the April meeting. The Neighbourhood Plan Steering Committee to consider additional members of that committee.
Well, we've had 4 abortive steering committee meetings now, and we desperately need some more people. Now, I know you were saying, Amy, that a quorum's got to be
3 councillors.
3 councillors. So we definitely need at least one more councillor. And I'm going to propose 2 other people that I would like to see on there, and they were both on the our old neighbourhood plan steering committee. That's Mick Howard and Ellie Chinnery. And I was even going to have a little chat with a certain person in the room here, so see if you were interested coming back on. Yeah, so maybe you put Sue on. And then any other councillors who, because at the moment we've got 3 of us, 3 councillors, so we could really do with one more. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Well, you're on it anyway.
No, I'm proposing him.
Oh, right. I thought you were doing a Kenny Bailey. Yeah, if we can do that, that would be great.
So the proposal is
to, have you got all those names?
So I've got Nick, Ellie and Councillor Marsh.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else who wants to go on? Just
I thought Sue said she was still willing.
Oh, Sue, did you have
I mean at the third level. Sorry, what's your word? I mean the committee can, as long as you've got 3 councillors at the committee meeting, they can then vote on anyone. So it's just getting to quorum.
Well, that's what we tried to do last week, and the week before.
okay. So you proposed 3 more people.
4
more people.
4 more people.
4 more people. Okay. And you're proposing that?
Yeah.
Seconded? Okay. I will abstain because I agree with all of them except the colour. So I'll abstain.
Ah, come on, Keith.
I'm just being churlish. Okay, that's agreed. The planning. Well, I'm not on the planning group anymore, so yeah, they're delegated decisions. Okay, finance. An update from the clerk, please.
Sure. So the bank balances in the Lloyd's current account is £42,572.
Sorry, Amy, we can't hear anything at all.
So the Lloyd's current account has £42,572.41. The Unity Trust current account has £126.24, and the Unity Trust savings has £24,108.53. And I'll carry on to the next one with me. So I have updated the asset register. The only addition is the pot that the Christmas tree is sitting in. So I'll put that on. And
Is that a static thing now?
Well, when we first considered it, it was a thing to move it. Maybe we put some flowers. And then obviously all of the village green assets have come off, so it is quite a significant change this year when you look on it. So yeah, that's why it's so different. That you'll see I've put a disposal date on all the village green items.
That came in, I haven't had a chance to look at that.
Yeah.
So if we have the opportunity, if there are any questions next
agenda,
because I've got that.
You can just email me.
You were being a night owl, I came through at 2:10 this morning.
Did I not schedule it? I normally schedule it.
So I haven't had a chance to look at that yet.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So it is literally just the Christmas tree pot and the whole village green section has been disposed.
Okay, we've noted those 2, and to consider the payment schedule in the background, which is in front of you.
So the payments for agreement at this meeting, we've got the charge for the green waste service, so that's £1,740, which is actually a reduction on last year, surprisingly, which wasn't expecting that. We've got the normal bin emptying. I've put that on here because the budget is a bit muddy for how I've ordered it, so I didn't want to put it through all my powers just in case. We've got the renewal for the website hosting, which had to be done on a card, so I paid for it. And technically there's not quite enough in the budget, so that's why I've put it here to be considered properly. And then we have a large bill from Uttlesford for the elections. So £6,125.46. The vast majority of that is obviously the election that was a voting election. The other two were sort of £90 each for the open testimony. So that is unfortunate, that wasn't in the budget. There is space in the overall budget for it, but yes, it's an unfortunate hit, but I don't think we really have any choice, unfortunately. The rest of it is all quite straightforward. We've got the room hire for everything here, got the phone landline. We've got the two Burkitt's invoices. I'm not sure if they've actually gone through yet, I'll double check. They're the ones that we agreed pending the breakdowns, so we have them now. We've got two invoices for the judicial review. One of them is an invoice and the other is money on account for the hearing coming up. We've got the Adobe Pro subscription, which was agreed a couple of meetings ago, I think. We've got my wages. We've got the payment for the tree survey, and we've got my pension. And then the rest is, we've got we have to pay an annual fee to the Information Commissioner's Office because we're a data holder, so that's just something we have to do. My mobile phone, and the rest is service charges.
Okay, can we, any questions on those, or can we vote for those?
Just those four that need to be voted on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between Brecons and Burkitt's.
So Burkitt's, they're very old invoices from the original assignment. They just took months and months for some reason to invoice us, and then if I'm being honest, we've taken quite a while to pay them. And then Bradner's is the solicitors that we're using for the judicial review.
So there's a previous solicitors and new solicitors.
Burkitt's could be good one for the judicial review.
The Burkitt's was for public law funds. Okay, I propose that. Would you have a seconder for those payments?
Four payments at the top.
Yeah, just the four.
Okay, all those in favour? Training, consider arrangements for council training as offered and recommended by the monitoring officer.
So to clarify, this was when the monitoring officer presented to us, the County Marshal weren't here, but she gave a sort of general training offer to all councillors based on the number of complaints that they'd emphasised that the complaints cost, I think it's about £8,000 each to the public purse, and they've not said anything officially, but they've sort of said, you know, if you keep costing us this much, we're going to start billing you. So we need to be seen to be proactive here. So I would strongly recommend that you do need to go through with the training that's been recommended. And the monitoring officer is keen for it to be in person, but it could be online. So again, that is preference for you.
To cut this all short, can I ask you to find out what's available, when it's available?
Well, she's saying she's going to curate training based on what we've said.
Well, if you can agree something with that, or get some options, then we can publish it and people can.
I would imagine that if it's online at the moment, it would be cheaper than if we have to all come together.
Online, I would imagine online would be significantly cheaper.
The only thing I would like to say is that based on Councillor Rice's behaviour this evening, is there any point? Because most of the complaints are about Councillor Arthur's, and he clearly doesn't give a monkey's what anyone thinks. He's not prepared to change his behaviour. His behaviour this evening has been an absolute disgrace. So I think
you've got a real chip, actually, having cost the council £30,000 already. So I don't think those sort of comments are really necessary. So let's not go there.
I personally would consider considering that we have a proportion of newer councillors joining us, and some of us maybe need refreshers. I think that let's get it all done under one hit. Makes sense.
It would be nice if we could do it, even if we do it online, it would be nice if we could do it as a group.
Yeah.
Because if there's any other questions and things we need.
As I said, can you get some suggestions from the monitoring officer?
Yeah, I think so.
Should do it together.
And then pop it around, because we're not going to agree here. Okay,
How
on
long
to
is
the
it
next
take?
agenda.
How long is a training session?
Well, this is, I mean, she spoke about a weekend or something like, so I don't know.
What?
She's been quite, she's been pretty vague on the details, because she's basically said talk to the council, see what they want, and I'll curate something. Is basically the messaging I got. So it is a bit kind of ball is in our court, but I think online together could be a good compromise. Because I think online, you know, sitting in your home office, I don't know how much.
Amy, I have some information which might be helpful. When we did some planning training, we managed to actually get a group, and it was cheaper to do the training all together as a group, and we included, and that's how Alan came on board, if you remember, Alan, we included people who were part of working parties or part of committees who were not councillors, because all the working group signs up for the Code of Conduct. So you might be able to get a cheaper training for the whole group, whole council and people involved by doing it as a group.
Can you get in touch with the monitoring officer and try and find? Okay, then we'll, the clerk will come back to us with some options. Items for the next agenda.
I did the Parish Halloween wording.
Okay. Well,
Can we add the date for the annual meeting?
So we set that a few months ago as the 22nd of April.
That's the parish residents.
Yeah, there was.
I wasn't aware
Oh,
that
sorry.
was set. I'm talking about the annual meeting.
Oh, was in the council only meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got to be towards the end of May, isn't it?
Well, I think it can be in May, at any point in May, as long as it's done by the end of May.
Do we pick that date, or is that do you pick
Yeah,
that?
no, you can
know what it is, I
yeah,
just
so
thought-
it has to be, there's a window where it has to be, and then you can.
On the first Wednesday is the 6th.
Yeah. So default would be the day that the meeting was going to be anyway. A lot of councils do the annual meeting and then follow by the parish council meeting.
So it's all wrapped up on the
one.
same meeting.
So it's all on one. So that's what something to consider. If you're doing it that way.
Okay, I think that's it. The next thing we'll move on
There's the date, so considering whether we still want to do the second Wednesday or not.
I think that would be best left for the May annual meeting.
Okay, sure.
I don't know
Yeah,
how
I'm
else we.
happy with that. Okay, thank you very much. The next items are confidential, and there's a statement here about them being to resolve in public bodies, Commissions Act, extended by various government acts, public and primitive newspaper will be excluded. So can we have a propose that? Can we have a seconder for that, please? So that we can just cover confidential matters.
Yeah.
Can we have a vote on that, please? Yeah, okay, that's done. Okay, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.